गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री Gurave Namaha. We are in chapter 6 of Amrit Anubhav, verse number 15, and we are looking at how we were looking. Were we? कहाँ तक किया है? 15 तक ही है ना?
14, Swamiji. We finished 14.
We have finished 14, so we have to start 15.
Yes,
and in the 14th, it was told that from the absolute self point of view, the remembrance and forgetting is not there. Remembering and forgetting is only for the objects of the world. From the point of view of the self, from the disposition of the self, there is no world as we know it. Don't bring God into it here. There is no world as we know it, and therefore there is no memory, and hence, if no memory, there is no forgetfulness also. How can they have meaning? The word is therefore invalid in the self. Examples are given in the next 3 OVs. Apana apanate, apana apanate, आठवी विसरे केउते, काय जीव जीभेते, चाखे न चाखे. How is remembering and forgetting possible with reference to oneself? Can we say that the tongue tastes itself or does not taste itself? How is it possible to remember or forget oneself? For example, how can the tongue taste itself or not taste itself? So the words remembering and forgetting are meaningless with reference to the Atma Tattva. We have never forgotten. We have never forgotten ourselves. We don't need to remember ourselves. अरे आज भी मैं हूँ. Today also I am. I think I'm not here. I have to remember who I am. That is regards to your true nature. But as a conscious being, you don't have to remember. Another example is taken. Zagate ya need nahi ma zagane ghade kai smarana smarane donhi hi swarupi taisi. There is no sleep in waking. How can we say that there is waking in waking? Similarly, both remembering and forgetting are not possible in the self. When one is wide awake, there is no sleep. How can one call it a waking? How can one call it as waking up? He is already awake. In the same way, in the first place, both remembering and forgetting are impossible. In the second place, it is in one's own essential nature. So once we have woken up, today you must have woken up. How can you wake up? You are already awake. But we say, I have woken up. अरे बोल कौन रहा है? The one who is awake only is speaking, I have woken up. It's a foolish statement. Similarly, how can you wake up from waking? You cannot. Because you are by nature already awake. Meaning, the Atma Tattva, the self, the absolute self, is always there. Giving one more example, Suryo Ratri Panene Madivo Kaya Zane Devi Smarana Smarane Veena Apanavastu. The sun knows not the night, how can he know the day? Similarly, in the self, remembering and forgetting is not possible. Self is all-knowing. If it is all-knowing, how can it remember anything? And how can it forget anything? Its nature is that of knowledge. The nature of the sun itself is light. How can it know day or night? It cannot come to know day or night. These are again pointers to make us understand that no amount of thoughting, no amount of thoughting can take us to the self. Whether there are thoughts or no thoughts, whether there are in here this chapter is words, whether there are words in your mind or no words, you still are. The sun does not know what night is. How can he know what is day? From the sun's angle, there is neither day nor night, since these two exist in mutual cancellation. In the same way, in the pure self, there cannot be either remembering or forgetting. It is beyond the spell of both. It supports. Just like the sun supports the phenomena of day and night, but is untouched by day and night, and from its point of view, there is no day and night. Same way, from the Atmic point of view, it supports the phenomena of waking, dream and sleep. It supports the phenomena of Aham and Idam, but from its point of view, there is nothing like that. Now you apply it on yourself. You are that Atma in essence. Are you obsessed with, and you are obsessed only with the waking, not even with dream and sleep. And in the waking, you are obsessed with your body. You are obsessed with your children. You are obsessed with your house. You are obsessed with your health or disease. How much deep we have gone into delusion. Come out of it. Understand the phenomena as a phenomena. That's all you need to do. But our mistake is we take a phenomena to be the reality. That's where the problem begins. Then remembering, forgetting. And in that phenomena also we are not taking it completely real. Only 1/3 of the phenomena we are taking as real. 1/3 is only the waking we are taking as real. Dream and sleep we are not taking as real. That's why grace is required. And that grace has brought us to this text. By grace, Jnaneshwar Maharaj's words have come into our life. It cannot happen just like that. If understanding is taking place, even little bit, it cannot happen just like that. It is grace. फिर उसमें ये नहीं जाना है it is because of my prarabdha that I got it. Whose prarabdha? There is no one there to have prarabdha. Only the self is there. So prarabdha is an imagination, sanchit karma is an imagination. It's all part of phenomena. And what is phenomena? Where that does not exist. Lage raho, munna bhai. No, my duties, my prarabdha, my destiny, my reality is different from your reality. Lage raho, lage raho. Who can save you? Nobody can save. If you keep thinking in that angle. If you keep thinking in that angle, nobody can save. Actually, there is nobody to save nobody. ये भी देख लो. Because whoever we go to save, he himself is not existing. And Atma doesn't need any saving. When Shankaracharya was moving in the bylanes of Varanasi, and there he saw that Chandal with 4 dogs. He said, Munja, Munja. He took shower, he had taken dip in the Gangaji and coming. The streets are very narrow in Varanasi. He said, get away, move away. He stopped there in the middle, looking at Shankaracharya, who was only 17, 18 at that time. Yeah, who are you telling to go get away? This body, what my body is made up of? Blood, urine, fecal matter, tissues, bone marrow, etc. Your body is also made up of that. So what are you telling to get away, get away? And if you are telling the Atma to get away, your Atma and my Atma is same. Atma is untouched. Don't you know that? These are nice to hear, these stories. You have to apply it on yourself. So don't live in fractions. Words break us up. We are the complete whole. We are the absolute. We are the unbroken one. We are the undivided one. We are the undifferentiated one. But words, me versus you, me versus you, inside versus outside, day versus night, intelligent and buddhu. We create all these things and then get caught up. The thought is concluded, evam smarana nahi tari smarake kazakai manoni iye thai bolu na sare. In this way, when both remembering and forgetting are absent in self, what will the word achieve? Therefore, the word is of no use in the self. Do you think that the word self is going to bring the self into your cognizance? No. Self is self-established. No, I have to shift my attention towards the self. I have to remember the self. I should not become a husband or a brother or a son. I must be the substratum. You are always. But if we remain obsessed with the world, then we'll never be what we are already. Because words are for somebody. Atma is not somebody. Atma just is. Somebody is a role. Who is the role? The seeker, meditator. Therefore, when there is no possibility of remembering and forgetting, what will the instrument of reminding, namely the word, be able to achieve? Only when something is forgotten, there is a need to remind. Therefore, the word has no entry in the Atma Tattva. So, have we forgotten that we are living? We have forgotten that we are alive? Have we? Without the Atmic Tattva, without the spirit, the conscious principle, the phenomena cannot express. There is nothing but the spirit, not spirit versus matter. The spirit, infinite spirit. There is nothing but it only. There is nothing but water. On that, ocean and wave are imagined. There is nothing but the absolute principle, the Atma, and on it, the Panchakoshas, the Jeev Jagat Ishwar, the whatever you want to break it up into, all that is imagined on that. And what is that? That you are. Tattvamasi, that you are. How can something from imagination reveal its source? The eyes, the senses cannot come to know the mind cannot come to know the eye cannot come to know the Chaitanya Vastu. So no, the effect can never come to know the cause. So how can something from phenomena, which is a word, where there is word, then you require remembering and forgetting. How can something from the phenomena, namely a word, remind you of your true essential nature? Impossible. To come to this point, the words are used. And we have never forgotten ourselves. Whether we are waking, dreaming, sleeping, we always are. Nobody feels that they are absent. Absence may be of a role. Absence may be of a cut hand or a cut finger or a cut leg, or absence of health, absence of hunger, absence of sight, hearing, etc. But I am absent, nobody says. And if they do say that I am absent, they only mean that mentally they are absent. They are not alert. But nobody says that I am absent as spirit, as consciousness. Then where's the question of remembering the consciousness? That's what we are doing. No, I have to be the consciousness. I think self-forgetfulness has led to a body identification, and now I must remember that I am the self. Don't misunderstand. This is necessary also. But what Jnaneshwar Maharaj is telling is his experience of realization. He is talking from the absolute standpoint. We as seekers, when we say we have to understand, we have to do the sadhana, we have to chant the mantra. Otherwise, if you take this word, then there is no Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para. But it is the same teacher, Jnaneshwar Maharaj. In the 3rd chapter, he said, do Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para. And it is more because of that Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para, you came to the Satchidananda. Then you don't get caught up in the word Satchidanand. The value of the word Satchidanand was removed, that they are only for cancelling the opposite. And then this chapter has come where, what was not Satchidananda, what was that? That was the last chapter. And 4th was Jnana Jnana Bhed. And then Satchidanand was devalued. And now, not just Satchidananda, the entire vocabulary, the word, is devalued. See. So when we do our sadhana as a seeker, meditator, listener, speaker, is the self missing at this moment? No. Self is not missing. Then what are you seeking if self is not missing? Then what are we seeking? If self is not missing, then what are we? We are only trying to quieten the mind. All sadhana is to quieten the mind with understanding, not in an inert way. Inert way is alcohol, drugs, sleep, coma, suicide. These are all artificial ways of calming the mind. We want to, with understanding, with the focus on the subjective self, we want to bring about the quietness of the mind, so that what we are reveals, or is, how should I say, is realized directly. But the shortcoming in the language is realized. That itself denotes that there is something which I have to come to know. Directly, that means right now I'm indirectly coming to know it, and one day, one moment will come when I'll directly come to know it. Why? We are thinking in this way. This is the connotation of those words. Why? Because those words are in the mind, and mind's basis is objectification. Thus, Sant Jnaneshwar begins by establishing the greatness of the word up to OV6. Then he slowly unravels the limitations of the same word. In this way, the thought has been developed up to this point because it supports ignorance by giving the status of reality to it. Because it supports ignorance by giving the status of reality to it. Who gives the status of reality to it? The word. Because it supports ignorance by giving the status of reality to it. Like the Panchakshari, the word reduces the Shiva to the Jiva Bhava. The word reduces the Shiva to the Jiva Bhava. So where is Shiva? Who is Shiva? What is his status? He is all pervading. He is everywhere, Shiva. But now what you are doing? Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Who is chanting? The Jiva is chanting. So should we not chant? The question is, should we not chant then? Yes, chant, but understand. In chanting also, Vaikhari, Madhyama, Pashyanti, Para. What is Para or Pashyanti also? It is no chanting, it is silence. So where is chanting going on there? No chanting is going on. So chanting is keeping us away from our essential nature. Then why did we chant? We chanted because even after reading, listening, Upanishads, Gita, Panchadashi, or all other texts and satsangs, still the self is as if, very important, self is as if eluding us. The mind is not able to catch. This insistence that I have to catch the self by the mind is the problem, because mind is objectification. So then to this mind, the sadhana of Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para is given, and as it does that, then its habit of objectification slowly dissolves away as it becomes quieter and quieter and quieter. And there you are. This chapter is also being talked about, has come about because, okay, you have understood everything. You are in samadhi. Many people go into samadhi where they are one with themselves. But then they come out and start talking about that which cannot be talked about. Why? They did not abide in it. They went into the samadhi with the wrong notions about themselves. The objectivity was still present when they went into samadhi. It has not completely gone out of their mind. They understand, but they have not given the zero status to the mind. Or either you can give it zero status, or you can see that mind is nothing but the self, in essence. However, the Shabda, that is the word, has the ability to ally itself with involvement, pravritti, and withdrawal, nivritti, and thus the word has its own greatness because it is able to remind one of many things in the objective world. And this is, world means involvement and withdrawal. In withdrawal, there is nothing to get involved with, so ultimate zero. And when we get involved, so much variety. And of both, withdrawal, that is deep sleep, or involvement, which is waking and dream, both are objective in nature. Don't you know it? That these three come and go every day? Yes. If you know it, means they are objective. They are not subjective. Subject is because of object is because of subject. Waker is because of waking world is because of waking. Both come simultaneously. Same is dream. And who are you? The one who knows that this is happening. This is taking place. Nevertheless, as far as the self is concerned, the self being self-asserting, self-knowing, swas samvedya, self-illumined, there is no one other than the self to remind it about itself. Because the word is only in objective arena, the word is useful. It is useful. In the realm, if I use that word realm, or for the self, the word is not useful. The word itself it began, it was absent before, then it came into existence, then it goes out of existence. The word, any word, even it came, it stayed, it went away. Who am I? Began, it stayed, it went away. But when you are saying, who am I? Do you feel you came, you stayed, and you went away? No. This is the drawback, the shortcoming of the word. In the purview of the self, there is neither remembering nor forgetting, and therefore the word cannot act as a reminder about one's own essential nature. The word cannot act as a reminder for our own essential nature. Then why are we listening satsang? To remind ourselves only. Who is trying to remind? Is the self trying to remind itself? No. Then who is reminding? The seeker is trying to remind himself that he is non-rememberable. He is non-rememberable. Because the seeker is, or the individual is so stuck in variety, in thinking, in words, in thoughts, that he is not available to another option. And thinking about the world, it wants to come to know the peace, tranquility, and the self. And sometimes people ask this question, can we come to know the self while living in the world? Do I have to give up my family? Do I have to give up my business? Can I still come to know the self? This question must have come in our mind also. See, self is self-knowing, self is self-illumined, self is self-existing. Self doesn't, from self point of view, there is nothing but the self. Self does not need anything or anyone to reveal it. And yet, as a seeker, sometimes we say, oh, we have to do neti neti, then the self will reveal, then Atma Sakshatkar will happen. All that is prakriya. For whom? For the mind. Why? Or for the mind meaning for the I. I is part of the mind. Why? Because he is so obsessed with with the mind and its imaginations. So all these imaginations, how is it caught up in, entangled in it? By way of words only, by way of thinking only. So we have to use the thinking, which is by way of words, to undo what he has got caught up himself into. And when everything is undone, just like that one, like this thing, and if this is a piece of cloth, and I put a knot. But is there a knot or is there only one cloth? No, this is knot, and now I am stuck. I have forgotten that I am the cloth and this, that. So all sadhana is to undo this knot, not to reveal the cloth. When you undo the knot, cloth is all. It was cloth only all the time. Same way, one is the absolute self all the time. And in the Bhakti Shastra, that self playing with itself is called Leela. And that's what we saw in the second chapter. First chapter, I think. First. Shiva Shakti Samavesh. That Parama Shiva who wants to play with himself or is wanting to see himself as if, then appears or becomes aware of his potentiality, which is inherent in everyone. So mind is the potentiality which is inherent in everyone. Is that potentiality becoming a problem, or is it a helpful tool? It becomes a problem when we become the slave of potentiality, which is jiva. It becomes a helpful tool for a seeker. But for the Lord, He alone is the Shiva and He alone is the potentiality. Do you realize that? That is Anvaya, all inclusiveness. So He doesn't see, and therefore, because He has that disposition, He doesn't feel at any given moment that he is a slave to the potentiality. See? Our case is absolutely the opposite. So that Shiva Shakti, that also is phenomena. But from Ishvara Dvayavad, no, that is a phenomena which cannot be stopped. That phenomena can never be stopped. Ishwar and Prakriti phenomena can never be stopped. It's eternal. Spirit and matter coming together, it's an eternal phenomena. You cannot stop it. But you have taken matter, you have become enslaved by the matter. That's where the problem begins. And whole journey here is to undo that. Not destroy matter, only dissolve it. Only break the shackles of it. Because you didn't create the matter, it is happening. It is the sun doesn't try to destroy the night. Why? From sun's point of view, there is no night. From the self point of view, there is no. From the Paramashiva point of view, there is no Shiva and Shakti. He alone is. Then why did you use the word Shiva Shakti? For our understanding. Whose understanding? Jiva's understanding. Because for him the world is still so real and he wants to find the cause. Oh, this is how the fall happened. For the Paramashiva came down as Shiva Shakti. They came down as the Jiva and Jiva, who is the Atma and the mind, or the Jiva as the Jivatma. Then Jivatma fell further. He got identified with the body. Then he fell further. He became father, mother, daughter, sister. This is all fall. Or you can say, take it as Leela. It's a game which the infinite is playing with itself. So when you take it as a game, then it is Ishvara Dvayavad. When you take it as Leela, then it is Bhakti. When you are not able to take it both ways, then you say, no, I have to get rid of this variety, then it is Neti Neti. But consummation is only when that Neti Neti leads to Anvaya. That is, again, you have to come to that all-inclusive, at the mind level, you have to come to that all-inclusive principle. And these are the prakriyas, not for the self, not for the Paramashiva, not for Shiva also. These prakriyas are for the individual who is not able to understand that the mind is only his potentiality and it is always in his control. It is inseparable. Then why do we go to sleep if it is inseparable? Because you are tired of the variety in the waking and the dream. You are tired of identification. You are tired of holding on. Even this simple cloth, I am holding it on my hand. It's hardly any weight. But how long can I hold it like that? After 5, 10, 15 minutes, my hand will start feeling the weight of this weightless cloth. Similarly, the Jiva, he becomes tired of holding on to the relationships, the possessions, the projects, the past, the future, the body identification. He gets tired. And therefore, I have to get rid of this. Why does he want to get rid of it? Because he has not realized that all this is him only. Let the phenomena undo itself. So this is how the seeker gets caught up in his own game, in his own world. Like someone started building a house. They could have bought a house ready-made. Did you build this house called body? Someone else created, and you came and entered, hey, it's mine. That's the simpler way. This person was building the house, planning this, that. Took 5 years to build the house, man. How much frustration? How many ups and downs? How much waste of energy? Now, all that, why? I have to build the house. Another approach, it was meant to happen, let it happen. 1 साल में बन गया कि 10 साल में बन गया, बन तो गया ना, हो गया, चलो. Smart fellow, someone else builds, he goes and buys it, pays a little bit extra. How does it matter? See? Then you don't have the problems of dealing with the builder and everything. So body was created, you entered. Mind was created, you identified. Don't identify. Recognize this principle that nothing can get identified with anything. The eyes are looking at so many things, they are not identified. One moment they look at laptop, then they look at Nagaraj, then it looks at other people, then they look at, the eyes are looking at themselves in the screen. Continuously changing, they are not identified with anything. The ears are also not identified with any word. If it was identified, then it would stay with one word only. Your mind is not even identified with I, because I also keeps coming and going. So where is this identification? It's a misnomer. It's existing in its own absence. उसका हवा बनाया हुआ है हमने अपने दिमाग में. We have made it into a ghost in our mind. Who am I? है बेवकूफ है क्या? Who am I? You don't know who you are. You are the Satchidanand Swarup. You are the Paramatma, Shiva Swarup. You are the Paramashiva himself. So when we come to that ultimate point in our contemplation, when we come to this climax, what is that climax? Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti. Para is the climax. It must be approached. The sadhana must reach Para, Vani, with this information. Otherwise it will go into Jada Samadhi. Now a new line of thought that the word just cannot even remotely think of entering the field of the self is taken up. आणीक एक शब्दे काजकीरू भले साधे परिधिवसान वंधे विचारू येथ. Vicharu yetha, or else the word would have achieved one more glory. Or else the word would have achieved one more glory in the field of self, but the word cannot dare to think about it. When the word thinks about the self, you know what happens? Why the mind does not want to think of the self so intensely? Because when it thinks of the self, the mind gets destroyed. mind dissolves. When the I is thinking of its original, the self, the spirit, the I thought dissolves. And this I, who has been identified for so long with so many things to prop itself up, everything is slipping away. It becomes afraid. Even I. And objective approach means I have been. What is your what? Who are you? I am the son of my parents. I am the husband of my wife. I am the father of these children. In that same way, I am this, I am that, with reference to something, it is popping itself up. Now it uses that ability in self-realization also. I want to know I, then I will be realized. Another data. See, that's what it means here. The word would have achieved one more glory in the field of self. I have achieved this, I have achieved that, now I have achieved Vaikhari, I have achieved Madhyama, I have achieved Para. I very easily I go into Samadhi. It's become an achievement. It has not become an avoidance. I can sit for 3 hours without disturbance in the mind. Achievement. But the word cannot dare to think about it. If the word is, the thought is, if the mind is thinking about the self in the correct manner, well, there is no correct manner because mind cannot come to know the self. Full stop. In other words, the word cannot come to know the self. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. The self is beyond the jurisdiction of the word. Otherwise, it would have been possible to add one more glory to the achievement of the word, that it is able to reveal the truth to the seeker. The word is able to reveal the sunset, the sunrise, the day, the night, the past, the future. The word is able to reveal all the emotions. The word is able to reveal the whole world with full of variety, the space with all the galaxies. The word is able to reveal the seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting. And in that, one of the word it has chosen to reveal is the self now. Now, understand the previous chapters. The word Sat was used to counteract the Asat. The word Chit was used to counteract the Achit. Similarly, the word Self is used, focused upon by the mind, should be to counteract not that which is other than the truth. But that we don't do. We make truth a part of this untruth by making it as an object to be pursued. When truth becomes an object to be pursued, you are only in your mind, then you are not subjective. So like you have achieved everything in the world, I have achieved the truth also. It's not an object to be achieved. So this fine-tuning of the approach is what Jnaneshwar Maharaj is taking us as he's going through further, after the 3rd chapter. But in the field of self-inquiry, the word cannot even think of entering because of an erroneous notion about Atma Tattva. This is an equally erroneous idea about the word's role in revealing Atma Tattva. And what is this? Because of an erroneous notion about Atma Tattva. What is the erroneous notion? What is the erroneous notion? I am asking. What is the erroneous notion about Atma Tattva? Think.
Could that be it is trying to explain through the words the Atma Tattva, Swamiji?
Okay. Anyone else?
That Atma Tattva is something to be achieved and realized.
Yes, correct. That is also right. What else?
The Triputi Samaji, the knower known knowing.
No, now you have gone from 1 to 3. What do you want to say? Knower, known, knowing.
So you are like having you are experiencer and experiencing. You are feeling that okay, I'm experiencing it. I got this, or I'm getting this, or I need this.
And that is through words. Because of an erroneous notion about Atma Tattva. What is the erroneous notion? All this is good. Does the self, the Atma, call itself Atma? Does the self call itself self? Does the self call itself I am Satchidanand Swarup? Does the self call itself I am eternal, I am unborn, I am self-illumined, I am self-knowing, I am self-existing? Does it say all this?
Atma alone as it is, there's no Tattva maybe.
That we are saying. I am saying take the position of Atma. Does Atma have any dialogue with itself? Dialogue is possible only where there is other. From Atma point of view, everything is Atma only. So no dialogue possible, no words possible. So here what is the error then when it says because of an erroneous notion about Atma Tattva? That erroneous notion is that I can think of Atma Tattva as Atma. The word self does not represent the self. Self, the word SELF or ATMA, Atma, is limited. But what it is indicating is infinite, unlimited. So can a word which is of the nature of limitation, which is of the nature of coming and going, reveal, which is phenomenal, reveal that which is beyond the phenomena, that which is never changing, that which is ever constant? Can the word self even indicate? It can only indicate. To whom? To the mind. And in that itself, the mind is feeling, oh, I had experience, I am having this ecstasy, I am going deep in meditation, I had samadhi experience. It's trying to, through the word, the mind is objectifying that which cannot be objectified. This is the error. So when we are seeking, where is the seeking going on? In our mind. What are we seeking? The self. Who is the self or what is the self? At this moment, from our understanding, if we are a seeker, it's that which is beyond the mind, yet pervading the mind. But mind is not able to understand that. So it keeps seeking, keeps seeking, keeps seeking. Now make it subjective. The mind is seeking that Atma. And what does the word Atma indicate? Who you are. And who are you? Whether there is a word or there is no word, you are. Whether there is waking or dream with words, whether there is deep sleep, no words, you are. Which one are you? Not the waker, dreamer, sleeper. You are the one who knows these three come and go, but not affected by them. This language is coming only because we are in the relative. But the moment we come to the self, there is no relative left behind. You turn back, you will see yourself only. The space is imagined as different houses, but space has not gone through any division. The self is imagined as divided. That division is aham idam, that division is waker, dreamer, sleeper, that division is the various thoughts in our mind, that division is seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting, the division is panchakoshas, the division is bhutakash, chittakash, chidakash. This division that you experience when you're standing in front of a mirror, that I am here and my reflection is there, it's a divisionless division. As if you understood what I just said, that's exactly what is taking place at this moment also. Let the phenomena happen. But you understand that phenomena is because of the words, but words do not. They may talk of the word self. Mahatmas also say, I am hungry, but that does not mean his ego has come up when he says, I am hungry. There is no straight answer, because answer is only in the objective world. There is a question and there is an answer. For self, there is no answer, because you are that which you are seeking. Self has no question about itself, and therefore doesn't need any answer. Self has never forgotten itself, therefore it doesn't need any remembrance. See? Now then question is, then who has forgotten? Are you when you say, I have to seek myself, then you are doing seeking because you have forgotten. Now ask the question, who has forgotten? Is it possible that I can forget the self? Is it possible that I can forget the self? Have I ever been able to forget myself? Not possible. Live with that clarity rather than the default settings. There is an equally erroneous idea about the world's role in revealing the Tattva. What is the erroneous idea about revealing the Tattva? That we have to study scriptures, that we have to do sadhana, that we have to go and study ashram, that we need to go to God. No. All that must be done as a seeker, you must do it. Only to come to this understanding. That from Atmic point of view, there is no scripture, there is no world, there is no world only. And world is made up of what? Jeev Jagat Ishwar. All. So this, oh, our Sanatana Dharma, it's good, we must follow it. But when you are on that journey of being Jivan Mukta, then even these obsessions that we have to propagate Sanatana Dharma, that we have to protect a Sanatana Dharma. How can you protect Sanatana Dharma? It is there to protect you. You don't have to protect it. पूरा upside down ले लिया पूरा story. And when you take it that it is there to protect you, then you will put it into your practice on a daily life to reach the conclusion that Jnaneshwar Maharaj has come to. Oh, we have to teach Sanatan Dharma to our children, we have to teach Sanatan Dharma in our, And this is a lot of this confusion is there in all the people who have migrated here. Yesterday, one lady, our culture. So I was at her house for Bhiksha. Our children don't listen to us. Is it not that they should get married? What is wrong if we are showing the boy? Why don't they accept it? This, that. If they get married to an Indian boy, then it will the culture will, they will be in touch with the culture. I said, why did you migrate in the first place if you are so afraid of your culture? And what culture are you talking about? The husband was sitting at the feet of the wife. I said, Sanatan Dharma doesn't allow the husband to sit at the feet of the wife. That is his freedom to sit, but the moment he sits like that, the wife comes down to come to his level. Are you following Sanatan Dharma? No, but Swamiji, that just is there. And she changed the topic. After 10 minutes, again I reminded, Amma, and she was going on and on and on and on and on about our culture. Amma, 10 minutes ago I reminded that your act is not right. Did you correct it? You are justifying it. So don't try to impose our culture on the young children. Let them live their life. Share, but don't impose. You practice, but don't force them to practice. Because that kid is grown up. That kid is about 20. You can't force that person. He will rebel or she will rebel. You practice it in your life. But they are seeing the hypocrisy. You say something, but you don't practice it. What Sanatan Dharma? And that outward habit then gets translated in our mind also. We study everything, but we don't accept that we are the self. Same thing is happening. We have all words to advise others without implementing on ourselves. When we come to scriptures also, same thing. Our mind understands everything, but it is not implementing, it is not accepting that it can never come to know the self. This is the problem. ये है मजा. Because of an erroneous notion about Atma Tattva, there is an equally erroneous idea about the word's role in revealing Atma Tattva. The erroneous notion is that the word Atma is the self, and therefore by thinking the word Atma, I will come to know Atma. This is the second error. See, first error is giving the name to that which cannot be named. And the second error is through that name, we want to come to know that which is beyond the name. Apply it yourself. It's not an idea that we are presenting. We are using the word self. I want to know myself. Who am I? I is a word given to the self. The I can never reveal the self. If I is there, then whatever it is seeking, it will be only in the objective manner. While seeking in objective manner, you catch, you be the one who is untouched by the phenomena of thinking. Let the thinking be of the word Atma and Tattva and whatever, but you unclutch yourself from the mind. For that, intense contemplation, doubt-free contemplation has to be there. If that is not taking place, then sometimes a little bit sadhana is required, initial stages, to quieten the mind, watching the breath or doing the japa, and then come to the contemplation. Contemplation doesn't take place sitting in the bed, having breakfast, tea on the side, and Zoom is on. It doesn't work that way. For whom? For the seeker. Because an erroneous notion about Atma Tattva, there is an equally erroneous idea about the word's role in revealing Atma Tattva. How? Kaze bole avidya nase maga atmeni atma bhase he manat khevo pise aleci ki. The statement that the word reveals the self by destroying the ignorance is an expression of foolishness. Huh? The word reveals the self by destroying the ignorance. Self-realization destroys ignorance. This is an expression of foolishness, stupidity. Those who say that the word, by destroying ignorance, reveals the self to the self, disclose this foolishness. They imagine that like a lamp placed between two rooms with the expectation that it will light both, the word is so great that it can destroy ignorance on one hand, also help the self knowing the self on the other. They think in this manner because the scriptures assert, unless ignorance is removed, the self cannot be realized. Shabdajalam Maharanyam. Shabdajal, this network of words, network of thoughts. Maharanyam, it's a huge jungle. There is no straight path. You have to make your path through it. bandha mokshasya karanam. So either with this shabda jal, either you can use the word, the shabda, the word, to create bondage, or you can use the word for liberation. This is what we have heard, isn't it? Bandha mokshasya karanam. That word can liberate. Here he is. And it is all because the scriptures are wanting to help the seeker and break his obsession about the world, about the variety, about the changing. That's why those type of words are used, that ignorance. What is the word ignorance? What is ignorance? Express desire. Desire, what is karma? Oh, you have to, when you take that as reality, then karma yoga, karma yoga, karma yoga. What will happen as a result? All the karma kshaya. The desires will be fried. How can you destroy emptiness? Ignorance is emptiness. Ignorance is phenomena. Ignorance is absence. How can you destroy absence? Can you destroy space? If you cannot destroy space, you cannot destroy absence. Absence is ignorance, another word for it. So by your sadhana, by your chanting, by your contemplation, what are you trying to destroy? That which does not exist. And what you have used for, what application you have used? Word. And what is word? Word is nothing but an expression of ignorance. With that you are trying to destroy the source, which is ignorance. Not possible. And with that expression of ignorance, which is word, you are trying to know the self. Not possible also. Don't get depressed. Don't get depressed. Can effect destroy the source? Can an ornament destroy the gold? Can the wave destroy the water? Can the pot destroy the mud? Can the expression of ignorance destroy ignorance? Think. Oh my God, so many years of satsang and sadhana, all this, all gone to waste. I thought I was moving towards the self. You cannot destroy that which does not exist. This is from absolute standpoint. When you come into the relative is expression, is nothing but ignorance. There, dark, light, light, dark, ignorance, knowledge, knowledge, ignorance, this goes on. The dance goes on. Aham, idam, dance goes on. So in Ishwar Advaitavad, they don't destroy the creation. They rediscover the creation to be divine. Then it is a Leela. Phenomena cannot be destroyed. Because it is not there in the first place. See? जरा सोचिए, ये बहुत सुंदर थॉट है, ये वेरी वंडरफुल. Those who say that the word, by destroying ignorance, reveals the self to the self, disclose their foolishness. They imagine that, like a lamp placed between two rooms with the expectation that it will light both, the word is so great that it can destroy the ignorance on one hand and also help the self knowing the self on the other. They think in this manner because the scriptures assert, unless ignorance is removed, the self cannot be revealed or realized. Because the scriptures say you have to de-link from the phenomena in order to know the self. The fallacy in this line of thought is that, as in the material world, one is always seeking some or the other support, alamban, both at the gross and subtle levels. Similar support is needed in self-realization also. This is what the person thinks. If I have to give a lecture, I need this phone and this laptop so that the sound is better produced in the recording. You need a microphone. To charge the phone, you need a wire. Just by wire? No, you need a plug. Why plug? Only plug? No, then you need a socket. What is the point of socket if there is no electricity? Then electricity should be coming to that socket. For that electricity, you need electric meter. For electric meter, you need the line from the mains. To get the lines into the mains, you need a source. It goes on and on and on and on. Is self a result of all this? No. Self is not a result of all this. So every expression in the world needs a support. The son needs the support of father. The father needs the support of wife. Both of them need the support of parents. Parents need the support of ancestors. If they're not, no, they're self. We are self-made person. This phone needs the support of the stand. The stand needs the support of the stool. The stool needs the support of the floor. The floor needs the support of the foundation. The foundation needs the support of the earth. Earth needs the support of the sun and other planets. This is how our world is. Cause, effect, support, 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 support. I take the support of the words to communicate. You take the support of the words to listen and then take the support of the words to understand. Now this, we have been doing this, practicing this for lifetimes. If not only this life. Then when it comes to self-realization, we want to take support to realize also. It's automatic. We are in that track. गाड़ी उसी ट्रैक में जाती है, सपोर्ट वाले ट्रैक में. पर जब बोलते हैं सेल्फ इज सेल्फ रिवील्ड, या आई अंडरस्टैंड, बट what do I have to do? Self is beyond the word. But self is, no. Again, the word self is required. Why that self is required? Because the seeker is not subjective. So you listen to this whole dialogue of Jnaneshwar Maharaj subjectively. Don't collect information. It will click even while listening, it will click. And for clicking, you don't need to stop the mind. You don't need to stop the words. Let the phenomena, that is mind, let the mind use the words. You will click out of it. Unless all the dependence on support is dropped, one cannot cross the self-created limitations. So what are the self-created limitations? Waking is a self-created limitation. Dream is a self-created limitation. Sleep is a self-created limitation. Samadhi is a self-created limitation. So what is how does the word help you to get out of these limitations? Vaikhari, when it matures, the limitation of waking dissolves. Madhyama, the limitation of dream dissolves. Sushupti, Pashyanti, the limitation of deep sleep dissolves. Now you don't succumb to sleep again and again. Then Para, the limitation of Samadhi dissolves. See, when you connect all this, it's so wonderful. And all this process of Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para is only to reduce your dependence on supports. From many to one. From that one mantra, from gross to subtle, subtle to causal, causal to transcendental. Unless all the dependence on support is dropped, one cannot cross the self-created limitations. And how do you drop? How do you drop? Urvarukamiva bandhanat mrityor mukshayamamritat. So instead of thinking about that which is binding you, which is the waking world, you replace it with Om or Om Namah Shivaya. Then Om Namah Shivaya with Om. And through this journey remain subjective. Remain subjective. And that's what he's saying here. That unless all the dependence on supports is dropped, one cannot cross the self-created limitations. Sant Jnaneshwara is trying to emphasize that if one wants to have the experience of immortal being, one must have the strength and readiness to drop everything, including the word Tyage naike amritatva manashuhu. Tyag of what? The word. Word alone is expressing as the whole world. That we have been learning upon, leaning upon for support in the material world. What you are holding, क्या हो गया? चाय नहीं पी सकता. What you are holding on to in this world as support, that has to be dropped, says Kenopanishad, because the self is the support of everything in this world. So what you are holding on to in this world as support, that has to be dropped. As a seeker, what are you holding on to? You are holding on, oh, if I don't have the body, how will I seek? If I don't have the mind, how will I seek? If I don't have the thoughts of the self, how will I seek the self? This is the error. Why this error is there? You are not accepting you are the self. You are still keeping the self as an idea, as an object to be known. The moment you become subjective, then the body becomes unnecessary, mind becomes unnecessary. ये तुमने सुन लिया, अभी समझ भी आ जाएगा. But it will go out of your mind again. Because only superficially we try to understand, not subjectively. Only at intellectually, superficially means intellectually, we are trying to understand. You have to understand, the one whom we are talking about is you, the infinite one, supporting the entire phenomena. Not just the phenomena of your mind, no, the entire phenomena. How am I supporting the entire phenomena? There's too much responsibility. I can't handle even one wife and 2 kids, and now you're giving me the whole world to be responsible for. This type of thinking will not take you anywhere. How how the self is supporting the whole phenomena, not only the phenomena of the mind. Because the entire creation is just a word, and that word exists. Where does the whole universe exist? In space. Where does the space exist? In your mind. How does it exist? As the word Akash, space. Where does the mental space exist? In Chidakash, the reflected consciousness. Chidakash, conscious space. Oh, so there are no 3. No. There are these. In the Chidakash, the Chittakash and Chittakash is imagined. And Chittakash then projects the Bhutakash. Just like a mother is imagined in a woman. But there is no mother, there is only a woman. Self is the support of everything. Here again there is a problem, because everything means all variety. Again variety comes. But it has to be approached subjectively. Taking support of the word, those who hold the view that the 2 birds can be killed with 1 stone, namely ignorance can be destroyed and self revealed, are far away from the truth. Word cannot destroy the ignorance, and word cannot reveal the self. Those who are having this notion, see, in devotion we say the word Ram is Ram himself. राम ही नाम है, नाम ही राम है. But as you move with that word Ram from Vaikari Madhyama Pashyanti Para and have a subjective approach that Ram is none other than the self within, not an idea, an imagination whom you need to go and become one with. And this question will arise. When you do the Vaikari Madhyama Pashyanti, this question will arise. What is the status of Ram? If you are a seeker of self-realization, not God-realization, self-realization, then this question will appear. If those people who are only wanting God-realization, that's okay. Keep doing. I want to go to Saket, I want to be Rupa Mukti, Sarupya Mukti, Saloka Mukti, all that is okay. But when you understand it in this way, the Sarupya is within, is the self, Salok is also the self. The self alone has become everything. Just as in Adhyatma Ramayana we saw, Ram is ever the same. And he has not become less or more as the Paramatman, even though the Shakti, the Sita ji, is making him express. She says, I make him express as baby Ram. I made him get married. I made him go and kill Ravana. He doesn't do anything. So you are the one who does not do anything. You are not a karta or nor a bhokta. Then who are you? You are sthita. You are the constant one. In this way, contemplate. To make this point, more examples are taken by Jnaneshwar Maharaj out of his grace. We'll look at them in our next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Om Swamiji.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Thank you. Hari Om Swamiji.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Swamiji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om
Hari Om,
Swamiji.
Swamiji.
Hari Om. Hari Om.